morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and welcome to another detailed forecast update for November 22nd, 2024. We've got a lot to get through today, including the recap on the incredible rainfall that's happened across parts of Queensland overnight. We'll also talk about the forecast for severe thunderstorms across Queensland's central coast and far north, touch on the severe thunderstorm chances across Queensland's southeast. We'll also give a tropical weather update in this forecast video as well and talk about the heatwave and fire danger ratings that are expected to extend across parts of South Australia, New South Wales and Victoria in the coming couple of days. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The support lately has been much appreciated, but let's get stuck straight into things just with a quick 1 minute recap over in Queensland, because overnight there were some tremendous rainfall accumulations recorded in two different parts of the state. We'll start things off over in the southeast, in particular around the Gold Coast and Coolangatta area, because rather unexpectedly they picked up a very healthy handful of rainfall last night. Just a few moderate to heavy showers streaming ashore resulted in 150 to 180 millimetres of rainfall falling for some locations between the Gold Coast city area down through Burleigh Heads and then down to Tweed Heads and Coolangatta. So some very significant rainfall accumulations there. Thankfully we haven't woken up to any flooding, and this is typical weather for this part of Queensland at this time of the year. Again, completely missed it on the forecast. There were always going to be a few showers streaming ashore here, but no forecast model nor the Bureau of Meteorology could have predicted how much rainfall was coming ashore, and the reason for that was just because of how concentrated this shower band was. Unfortunately, we just don't have the supercomputer power at this time to predict kind of just isolated showers streaming ashore, which is exactly what happened here, and they just happened to be heavy enough to drop 150 millimetres of rainfall. But thankfully no rivers are at that minor or moderate flooding alert. None are expected to get to that point either. There will be a few big puddles around the Gold Coast and Coolangatta throughout the course of today, but they should dry up, and the rainfall certainly easing off as well by this morning before a couple more thunderstorms build up later on this afternoon. And then our second big pool of rainfall was up into Queensland's far north, which we will start the forecast off with right now. I believe it's South Mission Beach just outside of Tully picked up 198 millimetres overnight, just shy of 200, and I can officially say that the wet season rainfall, it is now fully underway for parts of far northern Queensland, pretty much right on time as well. I was saying November 15 in the previous forecast update. It's November 22 now, so a week off, and again most of the other forecast models suggesting around that November 15 to November 20 time frame, and those cicadas got it right as well. Very loud up in the far north of Queensland. I've read multiple comments about how annoying they are to try and sleep with, and that was just a surefire sign that that rainfall was building and about to break across parts of far northern Queensland. Some heavy falls expected throughout the course of today as well, especially along the coastline between where is it? It's Fishery Falls down to about Cardwell and Ingham. We're expecting some heavy falls there from some gnarly thunderstorms that are going to be blowing through with some strong winds as well for the coastal areas. We could be seeing some good rainfall totals again between Innisfail and Tully around South Mission Beach. Some very good rainfall accumulations expected to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning before the rainfall does ease off by tomorrow afternoon. Still a few showers lingering, especially up into the Daintree rainforest, and a few showers expected to continue through Saturday and Sunday, but far north Queensland the next 24 hours will be where the bulk of the rainfall is going to be coming ashore. Now you can see it here on this forecast here. We're not expecting an awful lot over the next 24 hours, just a few spots of around 50 or 60 millimetres, but this is this forecast, and as we just found out in the southeast of Queensland, the forecasts are very unreliable when you're talking about those concentrated shower bands. So again, I would not be surprised if another 150 or even 200 millimetres fell around this part of far northern Queensland, especially around South Mission Beach and then inland out towards Tully and Innisfail. Some good rainfall is expected, but unfortunately it's not going to penetrate far inland. In fact, over the mountains out towards Atherton, Ravenshoe, Mount Gargett, Mareeba, those locations just mentioned, they're not going to be picking up any rainfall kind of worth talking about either. And even out towards Mount Carbine either, the rainfall is going to be quite dry for good old Darryl out there. He's really struggling with the rain or the lack of rainfall, but fortunately for the for the far northern Queensland coastline, for locations between Cairns down through Innisfail, Tully, Cardwell and Ingham, the rainfall has arrived, and it's arrived in style with a further 200 millimetres possible throughout the course of today for some locations. Of course, that's a completely outlandish number when you contrast that to the forecast models and what the Bureau of Meteorology is saying, but again, the forecast suggested up to 50 millimetres overnight, and we ended up with 200 millimetres at South Mission Beach. So that just shows you how those isolated and moderate to heavy showers can stream ashore and create some big problems in terms of rainfall across parts of far northern Queensland. Thankfully there is no flooding up there right now, but again, a further 100 or 150 or even 200 millimetres at that worst case scenario, you're talking about 400 millimetres over a 72-hour period. That will begin to cause some problems in terms of flooding and river heights up there, but that is enough rambling up in far northern Queensland. The rainfall sticking around. It's expected to stick around for the coming couple of hours as well. In fact, for the next 24 to 36 hours. Let's break down the forecast now for southeastern Queensland. We're jumping all over the Queensland state, but we do have some thunderstorms that are worth mentioning throughout the course of today. You can see those showers lingering around the Queensland coastline throughout this morning. They will actually increase further inland out towards the kind of Wollongong and Boona, that sort of area. The showers will continue to increase throughout the course of today. We're expecting some heavy falls in this part of Queensland as well, along the border into some of the more mountainous areas extending out towards Warwick. Again, I would not be surprised if 100 millimetres or further rainfall fell in these sort of areas here, with a couple of thunderstorms associated with this. So again, the chance of severe thunderstorms is there in the very far southeastern corner of Queensland, the main risk being heavy rainfall, but there is also the risk of damaging winds in exposed coastal and elevated locations. We're also talking about the risk of some heavy showers around the Brisbane airport and up towards the Redcliffe area, and a couple of showers and storms are also expected to extend up as far north as Gympie. Mount Perry as well, receiving a couple of showers throughout the course of today. A few showers also making it far inland with a bit of cooler temperatures and a lot of cloud cover. Some light showers possible out towards Longreach and Tampa, but they will be few and far between. Thunderstorms also expected to fire up between Dingo right through Glendon, Moranbah, even Mackay expecting a couple of showers throughout the course of today up towards Charters Towers, Townsville, and then connecting up to the line of thunderstorms expected to materialise around the Queensland's far north. We'll be seeing that throughout the course of today as well. But into the immediate southeastern corner of Queensland, I mean, we shouldn't really be talking about rainfall forecasts, especially with the risk of thunderstorms, and considering how unreliable they have been over the last couple of hours with rainfall across the entirety of Queensland. This forecast is again going to come with a very heavy pinch of salt, but we are still talking about some very heavy falls that are the chance around the southeastern corner of Queensland, specifically around the Gold Coast. Again, we would not be surprised if another 50 millimetres fell there south of the Gold Coast, just with the heavy showers that are streaming ashore. I mean, take a look at the radar imagery right now. This is the stuff here that's sweeping in off of Kingscliff, south of Tweed Heads and into the mountainous areas. Once this moderate to heavy rainfall gets itself jammed up against the mountains, I mean, we're looking at accumulations at about 50 millimetres an hour here. That's where those rainfall accumulations do completely blow out quite dramatically, because this stuff here, it's slow moving and it gets itself really in great fashion jammed up against the mountains. I mean, take a look at some of these spots here. If I was to mark the cursor here, they're receiving an hour or about 2 hours worth of this very heavy rainfall, and that is where that very intense rainfall does come through. So I'm not pulling these numbers out of my rear end. They aren't in sync with the forecast models, but these numbers here, they do make sense just with the nature of this rainfall that's streaming ashore. A couple of those heavy showers as well, making it up towards Brisbane. So take extra care on that morning commute. In fact, it's well past morning over in Queensland right now, but take extra care on that evening commute if there are showers in the vicinity, and a couple of showers and very heavy showers actually expected to continue pounding the Sunshine Coast between Caloundra up through Maroochydore and as far north as Noosa as well. So I'd not be surprised if some heavy falls were reported up there. Bit of a higgledy-piggledy forecast for Queensland this morning. There's been a lot to talk about just throughout the course of today. I mean, the rainfall has caught a lot of people off guard as well. It is very welcome rainfall up in the far north, but again, the southeast of Queensland, I think 200 millimetres is a little bit excessive for them, so they'll be very excited to see some dry weather, which is what I'm happy to report on right now. Dry and warm temperatures expected across Queensland's central west throughout the coming couple of days. A couple of thunderstorms actually expected into the western extremities of the state through Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, some of which could be quite severe indeed. In fact, gnarly thunderstorms left, right and centre across western Queensland, South Australia and the Northern Territory on Tuesday, Wednesday and extending in towards Thursday as well. Some heavy rainfall accumulations expected there, but I'll get to that in just a few moments. For Queensland's southeast and just for areas kind of towards the east of Charleville and Tambo in general and towards the east of Roma, it is dry and warm throughout Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even in towards Friday as well. It's when the showers begin to pipe up again. Friday the 29th of November, we see a couple of showers pipe up around the southeast of Queensland. Whether this could constitute a severe thunderstorm outbreak on the forecast, we're going to have to give it a couple more days to kind of see how this stews on the forecast here. A couple of thunderstorms expected deeper into Queensland as well, but what's new, we'll get to those in just a few minutes. And then a proper severe thunderstorm outbreak looks possible on Saturday to round out November, and then into the first day of December it looks like things will calm off a little bit. Again, this forecast here, just with kind of the lack of I guess guts from the eastern Beth in order to call something. It's not really calling for widespread lightning. It's not calling for widespread torrential rainfall. It's kind of a fragmented forecast here. That tells me that there is a huge amount of uncertainty still with kind of this low pressure trough bringing a severe thunderstorm outbreak next Friday and Saturday. So we will have to wait and see what is actually expected in regards to this weather event. And I reckon I'll be able to give you a good answer by the end of this coming weekend or Monday the 25th of November. But at this time here, I'm still very uncertain and very much undecided on what to actually forecast for the southeast and south central parts of Queensland. Again, I will have that answer for you later on in the week. A lot to talk about for Queensland, especially over the coming 24 hours, but let's break things up and talk about something a little bit more tropical. Over in the Northern Territory in Western Australia, we have a week of thunderstorms on the cards beginning from Saturday night. I mean, take a look at this. Thunderstorms everywhere across the Kimberley region of Western Australia on Saturday, even in towards Sunday as well. Showers and storms everywhere across the Kimberley and then into the Northern Territory. Again, I said this yesterday, but if you are a grey nomad in the Northern Territory and you're looking at kind of escaping this kind of garbage weather. I mean, if you're on the blacktop, you should be fine, but if you're traveling gravel roads and backtracks and you want to stay out of the way of this rainfall, especially because it could be quite heavy at times, I'd just recommend getting yourself close to the coast up in far Northern Territory into sort of Arnhem Land. They can cope with the rainfall a little bit better up there, or deeper into Western Australia, especially through the Gunbarrel Highway inland through Warburton and Giles. If you're capable of getting yourself through there, you will escape the rainfall because, I mean, just take a look at this here. Showers and thunderstorms consistent through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. I mean, they're everywhere with some very heavy falls expected as well. So I would not be surprised if we saw riverine flooding on Tuesday and Wednesday and flash flooding on all 5 of the next nights across parts of the Northern Territory, which will, of course, turn those gravel roads and those backtracks in parts of the NT and South Australia into just impassable slush. So again, take extra care when you're on the roads. Expect road closures as well if you're travelling through interior parts of the Northern Territory, and stay up to date with Northern Territory and West Australia's main roads website. Down in South Australia, though, you should escape the worst of it. In terms of rainfall accumulations, they are looking very healthy between Sunday and Friday. I mean, just take a look at this. 5-day rainfall accumulations actually in excess of 100 millimetres for a wide swathe of the Northern Territory outside of Tennant Creek, Elliot and Wave Hill, and even extending up towards Katherine and Darwin, accumulations between 50 and 100 millimetres, pretty widespread. Mount Isa, they can get some really gnarly thunderstorms at this time of the year. They're also expecting about 100 millimetres of rainfall over the next 6 days, and that will just do wonders. I mean, there's no kind of drought in the interior parts of Australia at this time, but they could definitely do with the rainfall. But I mean, just take a look at the soil moisture map compared to which this is tomorrow, and then compared to next Saturday, it is far above average across pretty much all of tropical Australia, minus a little section into the far north of Queensland. But it is looking very, very wet indeed, substantially above average soil moisture values. Great to see. This time of the year, it is a little bit concerning in the sense that we do have a whole wet season ahead of us, so having saturated ground in November does cause call for a little bit of concern at this time. But again, all rainfall is good rainfall across the interior parts of Australia. It's very volatile even this time of the year. The rainfall could take months to arrive for some locations, so seeing it now on the forecast is very exciting for a lot of locations. It is going to be from thunderstorms, so I would like to just preface all of this by saying that the rainfall is going to be very hit and miss across some locations, and there will be stations that completely miss out on the rainfall from this weather event, and then there'll be places that pick up the other stations' rainfall from down the road. They get 150 or 200 millimetres, their dams are overflowing, their rivers are overflowing, their creeks are overflowing, everything is just flooded, and then the farmer down the road unfortunately picks up no rainfall. That's just how thunderstorms roll up in the Northern Territory, parts of South Australia and Queensland, so don't get your hopes up for rainfall at this time until it has fallen or it's imminent. Just the heads up from the forecast models right now is that a lot of good rainfall is forecast for a lot of the Northern Territory, parts of WA and into Queensland as well, which is again a very exciting thing. Nothing happening over in the west as well, same deal with South Australia, it's looking pretty quiet there, but across parts of New South Wales and Victoria from today onwards, we're expecting high winds and warm temperatures, bringing in the high fire danger ratings that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, especially for Victoria, where they do have a couple of active bushfires burning there. We're expecting temperatures to rise into the high 30s for areas around Horsam throughout the course of today. Bendigo expecting a top of 35, Rainbow 36, and same with Ararat, also a very warm top of 36 up there. Mildura top of 35, and then locations into South Australia into the high 30s to early 40s. New South Wales as well looking pretty warm throughout the course of today before a cool change sweeps in from the west throughout the course of tomorrow morning, bringing in those cool temperatures a really welcome cool change as well, especially for Melbourne, which will be 36 degrees in the afternoon before that cool change sweeps in. And by the early evening hours, it's only 20 there. So that cool change is very welcome, but it will bring those high winds that will just exacerbate those fire danger ratings. And again, very dry across interior parts of Victoria at this time. They desperately need a little bit of rainfall there. So again, we're definitely talking about the risk of some fires throughout the course of today and tomorrow. So make sure you are on top of the State Emergency Services website. A couple of thunderstorms should come in and bring a bit of much needed rainfall to some locations of Victoria and into New South Wales as well throughout the course of tomorrow, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. They do look pretty hit and miss. Monday, a little bit of a better chance across parts of New South Wales, and then we're talking about a severe thunderstorm outbreak on Tuesday and Wednesday. But again, that will be talk for another forecast update, just considering how uncertain the forecast is at this time for said severe thunderstorm outbreak across Australia's southeast on Tuesday and Wednesday. And talk for another time that will be. That is all that I have time for throughout the course of today's forecast update. We've got a lot to get through over the next couple of days as well. In fact, a lot of rainfall to get over in Queensland throughout the course of today. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. Again, I could not run the show without them, so their support is much appreciated. But that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.